And one of the reasons this new mood has come is that things are changing rapidly. The war in Ukraine, the pulverizing, plausible genocide, as the ICJ calls it, against the Palestinians, this has accelerated changes that have been happening for a while already. You know, the way we understand it, the United States has controlled the world through 5 different vectors, and it's lost control of 3 of them. So I want to go over these 5 just to give you a sense of how the United States and its NATO allies have been weakened. But I also want in this assessment to show you that they've not been defeated. governments. You know, Antony Blinken, US Secretary of State, Foreign Minister, he travels everywhere, but he was too lazy to go to Sana'a, Yemen. Why not try to talk to the Yemenis? Why? Because they don't treat the Yemenis as human. That's the International Division of Humanity. They want to talk to the Israelis, they fly to Israel. They want to talk to other people. But with the Yemenis, their diplomacy is cruise missile. Because that's how they talk to us. They think we're barbarians. They don't need to talk to us in a language. They talk to us in the language of cruise missiles. And they have a lot of them. And the cruise against people like Kwame Nkrumah, that's a cruise missile into the heart of your country, into the heart of the potential of the young Ghana. They fired a cruise missile directly into the country. Now, it wasn't exactly a cruise missile, but don't misunderstand what a coup is. A coup is an incredibly violent incident. But things are changing. There's a new mood. People say, okay, you know how to blow bridges up. You know how to destroy bridges. You don't know how to build a bridge. You know how to destroy it. Learn to build bridges, not blow them up. That's their way of thinking. We want more collaboration, less confrontation.